Hey everyone, it's Kevin from Real Boring Flips, and I just got back from the dump, enjoying a little Ghost Sour Patch, not a sponsor. And I thought I would do an unboxing because I got another package from ShopGoodwill. This is a large package, so I figured just do it outside. And it already feels like I'm going to have issues because should be the I guess it was a Mac Classic 2, I think is what I ordered. And they showed it as working, and so I was hoping that it would be more or less professionally packed, but I can already tell it's the traditional Goodwill, put 2 or 3 pieces of bubble wrap on top of a heavy item and put it in a box that's way too big for the item. So I'll go ahead and flip this around so you can see the box, and then we'll do some cutting on the tape and see what's inside. Hang on. Okay, we're back. Here's the item. So we got, you can tell like just by doing this, there's definitely a large amount of void space, tear there. This isn't even connected anymore. Depending on what I find, I'll probably reach out to Goodwill on this one because they need to understand that this isn't, at no point is this acceptable for a buyer to get packages like this, especially when you're spending hundreds of dollars. And, you know, so far I've had, anytime I've reached out, I've either had a response quickly or just a refund, no response. So I'm going to go ahead and like I did before, since I'm doing this one-handed, I'll go ahead and cut this tape, and then we'll come back on and see what's inside. So hang on. Okay, and we're back. So the box is open now. You can see there's actually 2 items in here. This should be the Mac Classic, and this should be the HP calculator that I bought. So apparently, it's hard to really tell on ShopGoodwill, but apparently when you buy stuff, it's going to come from various stores. So I assume these will have some kind of marker as to what store this came from. The other item that I purchased when I purchased this was the PowerBook G3 that I already did an unboxing on. So we'll go ahead and start to take this bubble wrap off, and hopefully this thing is still working. It was working, and that's why I bought it. So we'll see what happens here. Let me know in the comments as you're looking at this what you think of this type of packing when you're, as a reseller. Would you ever do this? Would this be anything you would ever do? I mean, I wouldn't, but I mean, maybe it's a standard practice, but not for me. So hang on. So I took the big bubble wrap off, and this was the internal packaging. I can give them props on one thing. They did at least put, you can see one there, they at least put some styrofoam on the corners. They've got some kind of piece of cardboard maybe on the front, but I did feel something rattling when I flipped this over. So, and there's a power cord, not the regular one. So we'll pull this over, pull this out, and maybe I'll just turn it on and see what it does. I have a keyboard, but it didn't come with one. But I'd have to go find that. So, okay, we'll do a little more unwrapping and show you the final result here. Okay, we got a little further, so we're down to just the protection that was wrapped around this. So they put a cardboard piece on the front, and they got the corners wrapped. I am curious what the rattling sound I'm hearing is, but I mean, other than that, I mean, I don't see any damage. So maybe that piece of rattle was, who knows, something that just got in the case, or but it's definitely a Mac Classic 2 like I thought. So we'll get this stuff off, and then I will bring it inside and we can plug it in, and I'll show you what happens. So hang on. Okay, sorry, one last thing before I bring it inside. So I don't remember there not being a drive slot cover showing, so I'll have to go back and check the pictures again. But it is interesting that they put this tape over the monitor tube. I'm not sure. Maybe they thought it was just a thin piece of glass or something, but I don't think there's a piece of glass covering the tube, but maybe there is. So I'm going to get that off, and then we'll bring it inside. Hang on. Okay, so the moment of truth. I've got it plugged in now, and we'll go ahead and flip the switch. It's making a noise, so that's at least positive. I'm curious if maybe, okay, the screen's starting to come up. Still just a white screen so far. The images that you saw online were the desktop, so I'm seeing the little smiley Mac now. I did see a cursor. Okay, so that's welcome to Macintosh. I'm curious to know if this drive, maybe this floppy disk doesn't work, if it is missing that. I think it's missing something. Maybe that's the rattle that I'm hearing. But appears to be coming up to a desktop, so who knows, maybe I'll be able to get my Newton working with this as well, in the classic environment. I'll just let this go until we're all the way up. So it shows the hard drive. I'll have to get a mouse and maybe I can see more about this computer. I know this was like, I think this was the last of the original classic Macs, and not the best one. I think the SE30 was the best one, but I really was just looking for one that worked, that I could have as part of a collection. I've got a bunch of different versions of Macs, and I also wanted to just play around with it. So I've got some other accessories that I'd like to at least try out, or software and whatnot. So it looks like it's come up to at least finished booting, and so far seems to be working. So I will end here, and I'll go open the other package, which should be the HP 97 calculator. So hang on just a sec. Okay, so I got the HP calculator package out, ready to unwrap, and I found an invoice in the box. So it actually says two items, and this came from the Goodwill, Colorado Goodwill store. I'm not sure which one. And it says that I paid $63.79 for the HP calculator and $85.05 for the Macintosh Classic 2. And I'll show you on screen what the original prices were. But with that crazy coupon that, I did a video, and I'm sure somebody got, if not fired, got in big trouble for how that coupon worked out. That coupon was supposed to be $100 off for a $300 purchase, and I was getting $350 off a $500 purchase. So probably not what they intended, and probably why the coupon wasn't up for very long. I was able to get 2 orders in. I was working on a 3rd order when it stopped working. Anyway, so we'll open this HP 97. No idea on condition, but it did have the bag for it. So both of those things are pretty valuable, and we'll take it apart and show you what we find here. So hang on. Okay, so I cut the sides, the tape off the sides, but it's got another round of bubble wrap on the inside. I do appreciate that they used quite a bit of bubble wrap on these things, although I don't think they void filled the package like it should have been. Oops, there goes my invoice. So it's like a Russian doll here, which I appreciate. Of my grading, I'm giving them props on their bubble wrapping. Okay, so this is what I bought. If you've seen these before, this one's pretty nice. A lot of times this fake leather gets cracked, and especially these handles. But that looks pretty good. So we'll go ahead and unzip this. You can see, if you can see right there, it says Hewlett Packard. You got to transport yourself back into like the mid 70s, early 70s, mid 70s, when these were being manufactured, how incredibly powerful these were. And I believe, well, that's what the inside of the pouch looks. It's nice, soft, I don't know what that is, just a nice soft material to protect the calculator as you're moving around. So if you're not familiar with these, let me, got a off kilter piece here. Well, I can work on that later, but if you're not familiar with these are a programmable, scientific calculator, and HP used a system called reverse Polish notation. So instead of saying like 2 plus 5 equals and then getting a result, you would do 2 enter 5 plus to get your result. It's just a different method. That's what I learned on. So to this day, I find it very hard to use a normal, regular calculator. But so the other aspect of this calculator is obviously it has a printer. So it'd be interesting to see if that actually works. And then over here, you see this little slot, and you could actually record. This is a magnetic strip, but you could record programs. So you'd write your program and record it to this, and it actually would feed through and out the back, and you could either write to it to record your program, or you could read from it to enter your program back in. And then a lot of times you would have maybe special keystrokes, and so you'd write those on here, and then these buttons would become whatever those programmed keystrokes were. So really powerful. I have a HP 67, which is sort of like this without the printer, and more portable, much smaller than this. But these were quite if you had one of these, you were doing well. So in the back here is where you could plug in your power, and that actually charges the battery. So these calculators, you always have to have a battery in them. You're not supposed to try to run them just straight off of the AC power. And then these also, because these were incredibly expensive. These were probably, in the early 70s, these were probably, I don't know, $800 maybe, $900. So you had a way to lock this, so to prevent theft. So on the back here, this is, I think they showed a picture of this, which got me a little nervous because you shouldn't have to tape the battery door down, but there's a couple of little pieces that will lock it in place, and so those may be missing. But it feels heavy enough that it feels like there's a battery in here. Yeah, so one of them's missing. There's one on one side, one's missing on the other side. But yeah, so as I suspected, there's a battery in here. And this may have been reselled at one time. I'll give it a shot. I've got a charger that I can just put this in and charge. But most likely it doesn't work. There's no obvious like swelling or crust. But essentially these are the contacts, and it rests on these two contacts here, and that's what allows it to power. So I'll put this back in here, and we've just got the one tab to hold it, but it'll stay shut. So the only issue that I see is this crack here. And I think it probably happened because maybe this was misaligned. It's possible this was taken apart at one time. But I may have to mess with this to try to get this back into alignment. That shouldn't look like that. And I've run the printer paper out here. So we'll put that back in there. I'll have to do a little bit of checking to actually test this out. Most likely the mechanism that feeds these cards in, this will not work. There's a little wheel in there that is made of rubber, but over time it just turns into gum. sticky goo. And you can fix these. I've fixed some on the smaller calculators. This one's a little more involved. But there's people that do service on these, so you could definitely service this and get it fully functioning, and then you'd be cool. So anyway, I guess outside of this crack, everything, or this misalignment on the case, everything looks good, even with the crazy packing here. But I'll have to finish my grade. Oh, sorry. I have to finish my grade, my Shop Goodwill grade on this, and just kind of spell out what I think they should do. And maybe I'll even give them some feedback and tell them, hey, I've bought several things from you guys, and here's what I'm seeing. But who knows where that would go. But anyway, I'll end for now. But I do have one more package to open, so I'll do one more unboxing. And I believe that's the Dream Phone board game, because that package arrived yesterday as well. So thanks again for joining. If you like this content, please like the video. Give me your comments on what you saw and what you know about these items and your experience with Shop Goodwill in receiving shipments from them. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. That helps. And please join me next time. So I have a little bit of a bonus clip here. I was able to find my charger. I've plugged it in, and we'll go ahead and turn it on and see what it does. So, as you can see, the screen lights up 0.00. That's the display format that it's in right now. So we'll go ahead and just do a quick try here. 5, enter, 5 times, and we get 25. So you can see the printer is actually working too, and not quite. You can see that. There's a little wheel in here that will move the paper up, and it looks like it's struggling a little bit to get the paper to move. So let's see if we can just make it print something. So that actually looks good. It's just not moving. I'll move it by hand here. So it's not moving by quite properly, but maybe doing a little bit will fix that issue. Yeah, just struggling a little bit to come out. Now let's see if, I'm sure this won't work, but let's see if this does anything. Normally you would slide this in here and it would automatically grab it and feed it through. But no dice on that, and you get an error display. So you might even be able to see that might be some of that gummy stuff from the wheel that I mentioned. Yeah, it is. It's gummy. So that would need to be serviced. Not impossible, just not as easy as the smaller computers. And I'll show you. I've got my. Actually, have my. This is a HP, very similar to that HP 67. This is HP 65. It has the same slot for those cards as well. This is one that I don't think I have my battery in here. Yeah, I don't have a battery in here, but that's the one that I use. I actually really don't use it much at all anymore. There's a great iPhone app that takes that place. So this is more or less just interesting technology from the past, but at least we can confirm that it is working. The printer somewhat works. The motor works in here. It's just not, the wheel is gummy. So more to come on this, but wanted to update you with some of the final question as to whether or not it was working, and it's working.